Hey everyone, welcome back to I guess this would be technically first impressions slash recap of what's been happening in Hero Academia. Just falling behind, but still a big fan and I enjoy it a lot. That and I'm a manga reader, so really there wasn't a lot I was getting out of watching the anime, but as far as I've been watching, it's been pretty good. Anyway, just to recap, the tournament arc, we kind of got off to a start with that, and the tournament arc basically exists to kind of showcase these young heroes so that the professionals and people looking for a sidekick or whatever can get a good view of like you know who's the powers these kids have and how they can be applied. So the tournament arc really isn't set to who can beat up who. It's just more like for the pro heroes to kind of scout these young heroes for future hero jobs and stuff like that. So that's what pretty much the tournament arc with why it exists. But people would question, why would they need a tournament arc? This is just for that. That and with shonen, you typically get a tournament arc in most of those shows just to establish like power levels and who's stronger and all that. And it also sets up rivalries between certain heroes and all that sort of thing. So, and sometimes you have reveals on certain characters, and we do get reveals with this tournament arc. Just jump right into it. We had all this silly stuff at the beginning, relay races. You had the where they get on people's shoulders and try to pull the, uh, I guess, thing off their heads, whatever, the bandanas. So you have that typical kind of sports events you'd see. So they had some of the stuff like that, and through that they kind of they dwindled down the, I guess, final 10 people. So we had Deku fighting some guy who, if you talk to him, he can, I guess, mind control you and he can make you do whatever he wants. So Deku had a hard time with that, but he saw some kind of flash of something that he described later on as the previous holders of the All for One. Is the way he thought he saw, and that kind of snapped him out of it, and he beat that guy. So Deku, makes the next round. And then we had like some other fights, like the best one I think one of the best, out of the tournament arc was Ochako, which your gravity. She got to fight Bakuyo, which was interesting. You wouldn't think they'd put those two together as a pair to fight each other, but they did, and surprised most everybody. Uh, Ochako kind of held her own for a bit, and they even make a comment that Bakuyo kind of comments that she's not as soft or frail as people think. She's pretty tough, and she did prove that if she got that kind of a drop on him, she could have beaten him. But obviously, Bakuyo being one of the strongest out of the class, he obviously wouldn't be beaten by her. But she put up a good fight and proved that there are people that are trying, I guess, to him, but he won't ever acknowledge that as fact. But still, just seeing her give her all, I think, impressed all the other students as well. So she lost that fight, but she did feel a little defeated at the end of that because she wanted to prove, obviously her end goal is to become a pro hero for money, so she can have her parents have a easier life. So she feels disappointed that she couldn't do that. And I'll talk more about her a little later, what she goes through next. But then we had uh, Deku fighting Todoroki, the fire and ice guy, and there's a lot with him in this arc. I think this term arc is mainly about him and how he, we find out later on that obviously he has a fire ability, like fire side from his dad. He has an ice abilities from his mom, but we find out that his parents didn't really get together out of love. They didn't love each other. They only got together because they wanted to create the ultimate hero, of a hybrid of ice and fire. So they wanted to create this ultimate hero. So his home life he doesn't have much of a home life. I think his mom is even in the hospital. She doesn't she stays away from the house, I guess. But yeah, so there's a lot revealed with that of the only reason why they got together was to create a hero. They didn't care about anything else. So his home life's not very good. Even though he still loves his mom, he still cares for her. He just and his whole thing is during the tournament arc he refuses to use his fire because that would be relying on his dad, and his dad he hates his dad so much so because of what he did to his mom. So he's not ever gonna forgive that. So he's very hesitant to use fire side because he wants to prove to his dad that he can do this without using his fire ever and only relying on his ice abilities. And Deku kind of sees this, and he feels that it's your power, so you should use it. Why aren't you using your fire ability? And they do a little explanation on that, and so Deku finally breaks through to him, and he finally realizes that you're right. I should just it's my power. I should use it, and so he uses his fire ability for the first time in in the series. So it impressed a lot of people there, and his dad is kind of finally like gloating like, "Oh, you're using the fire." So it's like it's just I guess the pride issue with him. That and then we had Deku fighting him, and surprise my very big surprise, Deku did not win. I mean, yeah, I know as a manga reader I should have known that, but these like kind of still in the beginning of the series, and we're farther way past that, so I have forgotten some of this stuff here. But yeah, Deku does lose, and which was a surprise. I forgot. And then so you had the ultimate fight between Bakio and Todoroki, but Bakio and Todoroki's fight was kind of I guess Bakio felt kind of robbed of the fight. He won, but in the end he felt robbed because Todoroki did not use his fire ability whatsoever on during his fight. So he felt kind of like you used it against Deku, but you wouldn't use it against me. So he kind of felt defeated that he wasn't worthy of Todoroki's fire. Like he was, Deku was worthy of it, but I'm not. So and in the end, he felt kind of robbed. He won, but and they do show like he's very pissed off. He's at the winning side. He's on the podium, about to accept the medal, and then All Might just puts it in his mouth because they chained him up because he's so against his win. So he was just very angry about that. So yeah, the tournament arc, was again I think more about Todoroki kind of getting over the I guess side of him not using his fire abilities. So you got a little a little worried about that. And at the same time, we had Ida's brother. He's a hero he looks up to. Got hurt during the tournament, so he had to quickly leave because he was told it was very, very, very critical. And they reveal later on. Obviously, we've seen screenshots and videos of leading up to this. A guy by the name of Slain, Hero Killer Slain. He or Stain, I think is what his name. Yeah, he showed up, and he's this guy who, in his name, obviously, kills heroes, and he's going like a murdering spree lately, killing a bunch of heroes off, and they find out Ida's brother was taken out by him, and his brother is now paralyzed, so he can no longer be a hero. So Ida took it upon himself to get revenge for his brother. So the whole time he's hunting him down, but at the same time we have the UA students just trying to figure out what kind of heroes they want to be. So like what kind of job specialization do you are you good at? Are you good at rescuing? Are you good at like saving people, or I guess maybe fighting villains? So each of the students go off on their own and kind of shadow a professional hero who kind of shows them the ropes and tells them get some tips and even get some training done. I know Deku fights with a guy named Gran Torino who was All Might's original teacher, so that kind of keep it with them, I guess. So and Deku, to everyone's surprise, finally has somewhat of a grasp on All for One in his own way. There's a lesson he learned that he shouldn't be trying to copy All Might the entire time. He needs to be his own hero and not be a copy of someone else. And he finally figured out that I need to start using this power my own way, and he figured out kind of his own unique way of doing it. And his way is like it seems like he can supercharge his entire body to be at use attacks and stuff like that. And he doesn't break his arm anymore, at least for now. He's still not 100%, but he's I would say about this time about maybe 50 to 80% control of his power now. So, but at the meantime, it is kind of still got the thought in his head that he wants to get this Slain guy as fast as he can to get to revenge his brother. And in the meantime, his teacher he's with is telling him that heroes don't do things out of vengeance or revenge, or they don't ever go down that kind of path, and you don't ever use your powers unless you're kind of given permission by because you're not a pro hero yet, so you can't just run out there and use your power whenever you want. So you have to be a professional hero in order to do that. But anyway, he eventually finds the hero killer Slain, and he's taken out, but not taken out. He's more like incapacitated at the time because that's the message in Deku and Todoroki arrived before he could, Stan could do any serious damage. And they reveal that his powers are basically once he cuts you and tastes your blood, he can, I guess, paralyze you or freeze you for a second. They don't really say how long, but I guess it depends on the blood type. That's what they were saying. So you have three of the, Deku and Todoroki kind of tag teaming against this one, against Sane to take him out. And eventually they do get him down to the point where they can stop him, but he gets up at the very end and still has enough energy to surprisingly help Deku, who gets picked up by one of these Nomu creatures, like a flying one. So he jumps in and saves Deku, and for some reason it's very weird. He saves him, but at the same time, before he, I guess, collapses or passes out or dies, he had a message to all the heroes in the world that the heroes of today are fake. Basically, he doesn't see any real heroes besides All Might, who at the time what wasn't doing it for money. A lot of these heroes, he says, today are fake. They don't. They're doing it for the money, for the glory, and all that stuff. They're not doing it out of like the, being what a hero really is in his mind. So he was killing a lot of fake heroes that weren't really living up to his expectations of what a hero is. And at the same time, I think he even calls out villains that there are certain villains that aren't villains. They only do it for the fame and all this stuff. They're not. And I guess it's a message that gets across to a lot of the villains that are hiding, so they kind of rise up. And this is what the next arc's going to focus on is these villains. A lot of them are rising up to prove, I guess, him that saying his message is wrong, that they're not fakes. So that's what I'm getting from it anyway. And as the students did take out him, but Todoroki's dad is the one who gets credit because if anyone found out these three students from UA who are not professionals took him out, they would probably be in a lot of hot water. So they told him to take the credit because and then told the other three kids you can't tell anyone about this. If they find out you were the ones that did that, it'd be on us. So they kind of give him off with a warning that be thankful you're alive, that kind of thing. That and I would think if the word got out that they defeated this guy, all these bigger villains would come after them. So that's probably a way of protecting them as well. So, but I think Deku does tell Orchako about it, that they did fight him. So I think she knows, but I don't think she's ever going to tell anybody. And then after that, we had this episode where it was a filler episode, which was an anime original, where we got to see some of the heroes at their jobs, and they had some people. The guy who can turn himself his hard skin, he was picking up trash with his teacher, along with the guy he fought has the same power as him, but he turns his body to steel. So they're picking up trash. You had Momo and another girl with this model girl who are teaching them that you have to have the looks and the charm to get people to kind of support you and follow you, I guess. So she's learning that kind of side about being a hero. That fame does have a little bit of a role in that too, I guess. And posing in magazines and stuff like that too. It gets your name out there. And then we had Froppy, who's was the main focus of the episode. She had a whole like 10 minutes dedicated just to her, and she was like practicing with these Marines that. So that's what she's gonna be, an aquatic type hero that responds when there's like maybe like a storm or something in the water or typhoon, so she can go out there and save people or people that are caught maybe out in the ocean or lost. So she's gonna be more one of those kind of heroes. And she meets another girl who's kind of like a fish person who has supersonic hearing. And then her master is a guy he's a seal basically, a spotted seal. So anything a seal can do, he can do basically. That with the added bonus of like sonar and lung capacity and all this stuff. So that's his role. And they kind of busted these squids that are like kind of cool looking. He's almost like Splatoon looking characters, but they beat them. And she's learning what it means to be a hero, I guess. And what I got from that is maybe she learned that you have to be willing to sacrifice certain things, or willing to put yourself out in the danger. Because she was getting pretty owned pretty fast till the seal showed up. So I think that's what she learned, that she needs to act on her instincts, I guess, maybe. Sort of like Deku, how he just runs into danger no matter what it is. Like he just does it without thinking. So she's learning that too. And then with us, we ended out the episode with a kind of a preview for All Might. He's just gonna teach, not really teach Deku, but kind of explain to him where All for One came from and talk about his past and his previous master who gave him All for One. So they're gonna learn about that, and there's a lot of story with that about you get to learn more about All Might's past here soon and how he's you know got the power originally and how he picks his successor. So it's gonna be a lot of things like that. We're gonna talk about that next week, and yeah, maybe I'll wrap up the series by then. But so far the term arc was really good, and the kind of the training they're getting now, plus the story reveals of certain villains are appearing up. I know a lot of people may have seen fan art of this character. She's like blonde with like this. She has like a knife and she wears a schoolgirl uniform. She is a kind of like an important character a little bit later on, but I don't think we're gonna get to her as much. But we might see her appear in the next couple episodes. She's like a fan favorite of a lot of people because she's like a not really a yandere, but she's got that look and the kind of personality of a yandere. But yeah, again, she's a very popular fan character that she is in the manga, so she's not just created just for the series, but again, she's very popular. And some other villains are appearing up soon, and some other side characters and more heroes. So the story's gonna keep going. It's getting to a point where it's gonna get really interesting here soon. At least I hope. And I wanted to comment about the filler episode. It was really good to see that because I know even the manga creators said that he wanted to kind of go in more depth with what they're doing, the other people were doing, while Deku and them were doing their main story. So we got to see that, and I'm happy to see that. And oh yeah, Uravity, she's learning to be a fighter. She wants to learn how to you know fight with her fist and martial arts. So that's what she's gonna be doing. That learning how to do all that kind of street fight stuff, which is exciting.